This is Dr. Pamela Lewin, and today's topic is one that is very important for all of us, and it's the topic of stress and its effect on your body. Now, stress is our body's response to tension and pressure from without. It's the response, so it comes from within us. Some stress is good, but too much stress, not good. Tension constricts the smaller blood vessels, which causes cutting off of the oxygen to billions of cells in the body, and also the brain. And because the brain has many hormones that control the actions of other organs in the body, it releases this hormone called ACTH, which causes the release of hormones from the adrenal glands, of cortisol and adrenaline. Cortisol and adrenaline then flood the body, producing a very alerted state known as the fight or flight response. I guess that takes us back billions of years when Paleolithic man was out in the forest and who was running from the saber-toothed tiger. That is the sort of reaction we're talking about. So here's what really happens to us as a result. First of all, your pulse or your heartbeat speeds up. The blood pressure is elevated and it improves blood flow to the critical organs and to the muscles. In other words, you have to run, right? Breathing speeds up and the bronchial tubes or the breathing tubes dilate or widen so that oxygen can be brought in and carbon dioxide released. The blood flow is diverted, therefore, from non-critical areas, one of which is your gastrointestinal tract, and it's sent to the more critical areas, your heart, your muscles, and also the liver. The liver then releases stored sugars and fatty acids, which is how you store your fat, into the bloodstream. Now, glucose is a very good source of energy for the body, for immediate energy. But when you're going to be needing some energy over a long period of time, your body uses fat. Then the fatty acids are turned into energy, and that's what you use. Now, if the response occurs only once in a while, there is little danger of a long-term effect. However, if stress becomes long-lasting and chronic, the effect becomes much more dangerous to our heart, our blood pressure, and our blood vessels. So over time, this is what results. Your blood pressure stays up, and this damages the very tiny and sensitive tubules in the kidneys, and the damage to the kidney causes an increased blood pressure by a feedback mechanism. As you can see, this becomes a vicious cycle of increasing blood pressure that leads to further damage in the kidneys and further blood pressure increases. But that is not all that is taking place. The stress response causes the adrenals to produce less of a beneficial hormone named DHEA. We can go more into the significance of that after a while. And then it then produces more cortisol. This state of lower DHEA production and higher cortisol causes a decrease in the body's immunity. So your immunity is therefore suppressed. At the same time, the stress response shuts down your gastrointestinal tract, delaying your digestion and increasing fermentation and decaying of the food that's already in the intestine. These two processes produce toxins in the GI tract, and with continued and chronic stress, you develop things like ulcers, allergies, diverticulosis, constipation, colitis, irritable bowel syndrome. You actually get overgrowth of yeasts, which are the normal fungal elements that live in your intestines. Your body becomes malnourished. And because of the immune response being decreased, you can actually also get colon cancer, because remember, your immune cells protect you from abnormal cell growth, and they are being suppressed by this chronic process caused by the stress. And as if that were not enough, chronic stress can promote the release of enormous amounts of insulin to take care of the increased glucose that is dumped into the blood. The sensitivity of the cells to insulin is also decreased. So normally what insulin does, it allows the cells, especially the muscle cells, to take up this sugar so that they can be empowered to do whatever work they have to do. So the sensitivity of the cells to insulin is decreased and wide fluctuations of blood sugar occur. A high sugar level causes vital proteins to adhere to the sugar. And this is the basis of the hemoglobin A1C test. Every diabetic knows that their doctor usually orders an A1C test about every 6 months or so. And so you become diabetic because there's too much insulin, too much sugar, and the insulin is not being used by the muscle cells to uptake the sugar. And so once you have sugar running around, and I like to say sugar in your body in excess is almost the same effect as sugar in your gas tank. It bungs up the works. And so you start having excess sugar converted to fat, and diabetes and obesity occur, and some centers prefer to refer to that as the term diabesity because one entity and the other seem to go together. The fat released in the blood begins to clog the arteries, causing stiffening and obstruction. And if you picture your pipes at home, where when they start to get all this calcium deposit on the inside, the water starts to spray from the pipe, remember? And so the pressure in the pipe is then increased, and it's the same thing in your body. When you start getting stiffening of the arteries, with clogged arteries, your pressure is further increased. Our bodies altogether are one organism made up of many different systems, and so a downward spiral occurs that affects every cell. The adrenals continue to produce hormones till they become exhausted, and because of this, your energy level goes down, your metabolism slows. Your brain, nervous system, and blood pressure are all negatively affected, while your ability to cope with stress and your powers of regeneration are all damaged. You sleep poorly, become depressed, with declining mental acuity. At each stage, there is inflammation. And if you picture inflammation as one of the basic underlying things that's happening in your body, anytime your doctor mentions a word with an itis at the end, that indicates inflammation, whether it be tonsillitis, diverticulitis, bronchitis. It shows there's inflammation of that part. And when you accumulate enough inflammation and inflamed tissue damage, you sicken or die. So is there no hope once stress sets in? Fortunately, yes. At any stage in this continuum of damage and degeneration, stress management confers benefits that are measurable and relate directly to these organ systems and can be induced over a fairly short period of time. With a little help in reducing stress and transforming it to a powerful positive force, you can reap the benefits over the long term and reverse this negative spiral. This is neither easy or necessarily simple, but it can be done, and that is going to be the topic of our next talk. This is Dr. Lewin, signing off for today.